Hello, it's Omar Oakes again from The Media Leader at The Media Leader Live at Connected TV World Summit, and I'm joined by Roku's Laura Chaibi. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's great to be here.
Roku apparently means number 6, so I'm learning everything just by sitting down here talking to you.
Yes.
So explain, what have you heard this morning? What's been your key takeaways? What have you found that's interesting?
I've come to this event many times over the last, I think it's nearly 15 years the event has been running. Yeah. When I first started to come, the event was really focused on the technical delivery of content. And so there was a lot of really talented IT, engineering, infrastructure vendors on stage. And what's really interesting is this year, it's definitely all about the operating system, of which Roku is an operating system for connected TV environments. So it's interesting to see what is the landscape, how many vendors are in this space. Omdia started off the morning with a really great overview of who are the TV manufacturers, who are they partnering with, and what is the share of different operating systems all over the world by different regions. So I also learned a few things.
Yeah, what did you learn from that?
Well, what's really clear is there's still a lot of innovation going on in the space. There are new entrants coming in. We just saw Philips launch the Titan brand, and the kind of consensus this morning appeared to be there could still be a lot more innovation, but analysts believe that there'll need to be some reconciliation at some point.
Because it's still a tough market going forward as well. And I felt like from the sessions I've seen this morning with speaking in the middle of the first day of the 2-day event, I feel like that's been hanging over every conversation. You use the word more business-like, the feel of the tone of this conference.
Yes.
Is that because, we've had the last 10, 12 years of growth at all costs, and now in an era of high interest rates, it feels like actually the move to more advertising, you've got to make your data work harder. Do you think that that's what's underpinning this?
That, I think 10 years ago, businesses were just starting to move to the cloud. And what I think a lot of friction in the value chain to try and deliver a quality of service experience has been removed with cloud-based solutions and improved broadband connectivity for friction-free experience in delivering television. What's different? Yes, definitely, I think, with the interest rates. It's not my area of expertise. My area is really more measurement. What I can say is, I think when it comes to measurement, this is still an ongoing conversation. I think I've been in the measurement space for over 20 years, and the advertisers, they still want to reach audiences, and a lot of the infrastructure is about how do we measure content, how do we measure ad, and the advertiser's like, well, how do I measure who's behind the ad? And so I still think there's a lot more to go. I think we'll all be in jobs for quite some times. Each market is doing things differently, and what also is a bit of a creative tension, or a lot of creative tension, is TV is going head-to-head with digital. And a lot of these digital solutions have been what I call borderless businesses. They've been running, and they have global solutions that have scaled globally, which are really supply and demand ecosystems. And it hasn't always been necessary to know who are the consumers behind the ad, whereas the television world has always been around premium content and the consumers that are watching that content, and the advertising is really buying the adjacency to that opportunity. And those types of advertisers historically have wanted a country-level solution. So this is where there's tension. How do you scale television solutions when the content itself is ultra local and needs to be premium, and the buyer may only want to buy on a single country level?
Yeah, it's a point that even Media Leader, when we have these events through our publication, sometimes you get this people not defining terms very well in terms of measuring audience versus measuring advertising. And traditionally, in the olden days, offline days, you just weren't able to measure the ads, but with performance digital solutions you can.
Yeah. And also government, what's really fundamentally different about TV is that a lot of the measurement solutions were backed by the requirements by government to have what I call a 5-a-day balanced media diet. So, Ofcom making sure, do you have factual learning, science, technology, sports, news, kids, entertainment, drama? That was what's really, for example, Barb, that's what has underpinned the really gold standard of Barb's measurement. Why don't we have that in other places of the world? Do those governments ask about, having a balanced media diet? And this is also an area of creative tension. How do you ensure that societies, cultures can have a cultured media opportunity in an on-demand world. So there are big questions on the table, I think.
Yeah, and I suppose the legacy of TV, radio, you had public airwaves versus the internet. It's all privatized platforms from the get-go. So governments are having to play catch-up instead of set the terms at the beginning that they did in the olden days. I shouldn't say that. But finally, so we've talked a lot about what we heard today, the state of play in the market. What are the trends going forward? I mean, in your research and insight role, you know trends. So tell our audience what's going to happen in CTV.
I mean, every single market is different. Each market is at a different level of evolution, depending on if it was a free-to-air market or was it a cable market, and people are, for example, giving up cable and coming into more ad-supported or free on-demand and supported environments. You will see the word serial churners used in the U.S.
Serial
churners. These are people who have subscribed and unsubscribed to at least 3 services in 12 months. I've done a lot of research in other markets. I call them the FlexiVods. So, and why I call it FlexiVods is people are flexing depending on what it is they want. So if there's a series that they watch and it's ended, they may unsubscribe because the content that they want is no longer there. And I think we're going to see more of this. I think people are chopping up what they want based on the availability of the content that matters to them. And I think this is where there's a lot of movement. I actually have looked a lot, for example, in Canada, into the FlexiVods, and what I found is that this is not just a media behavior. It's actually a behavior that's cutting across how people make decisions in a lot of other categories. So they're...
Such as which categories?
So like, for example, the cars they pick, the grocery foods they buy, the financial products that they pick. It's not that they're chopping and changing their behavior the way they do in media, but their ability to discriminate what they're prioritizing. And brand loyalty is really scarce. And that's what I mean. It's not just media and entertainment that's facing this. Discriminating behaviors are happening right across the board on all kind of buyer categories.
Brands, watch out. Fascinating as always, Laura Chaibi from Roku. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
If you like this video, please subscribe. The Media Leader is the UK's leading source of analysis, opinion and data for people who work in advertising and media.